do the big cut. Or actually not first, because we've already been cutting, but... Alright.
Hi, welcome to Lilies and Tomatoes, your go-to place for simple and practical tips and tricks on how to start a garden all the way through how to use what you grow. This is from my live class that I teach on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays on Facebook. If you'd like to attend a live class or ask me a question, check out the link in the description.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my basement workshop. Today we are going to be pruning and prepping our peppers to bring inside. If we have not met yet, my name is Quincey Adams and I want to help you grow some of your own food in a small space on a budget. Okay, so peppers are a tropical plant. You need to be in like a zone 11 to keep them alive all year round. If you bring them inside for the winter, then you can get a jump start on the next year. You just put out your already established plant next year and you can keep them going. So I'm going to try that this year. And the goal is not to have optimal conditions and have your plant grow and set fruit inside over the winter. The goal is to have enough light and enough warmth to keep it alive. That's it. So what I'm going to be doing is I've got 3 pepper plants. I'm going to be harvesting all of the fruit. I'm going to be cutting them back and I'm going to be putting them into a smaller container so that they will fit easier on the shelves, because I've got 2 right here that are in a 7-gallon grow bag and this one over here is in a 5-gallon grow bag. But these are too big to fit on the shelves that I've got set up for my overwintering plants. So we're gonna cut them back severely and put them in a 3-gallon grow bag so they can just chill for the winter. Actually, I'll put them back outside for now until we're getting close to the first frost date. We still have a couple weeks before then, but I'm not expecting them to grow any more fruit between now and then. And my jalapeno plant has a lot of fruit on it, and I knew there were some on there, but I didn't realize how much. So let's look at these. These 2 are monstrosities. Ooh, okay. This one right here, this is a bell pepper. It is probably 3.5 feet higher than this bag. But what I'm going to be doing is just cutting off all the peppers on here are tiny. And I'm not sure if they're supposed to be tiny or if they just never got big. And then we're going to cut it down to probably here. And then it will be inside. Well, it'll be outside for the next couple of weeks, but then inside for the winter. So let's get cutting. I'm going to cut the fruit off first because I want to get a better look at some of these. See, this one is starting to turn yellow. I pulled one off here that it turned red. Well, it was turning red. And I wasn't sure if these were supposed to get big or if this was some kind of like mini fruiting variety. But the one that turned red had, see how little these are? None of them have gotten bigger than that. That's the biggest one. Oh, nope, this is a small variety. So I tasted it. It tastes like green pepper. Inside are mature seeds. That means that this fruit is mature. Just tiny. That's pretty good. See all the seeds in there? Mature seeds in your fruit means that it is ripe. Okay, so first we're just gonna do the big cut. Or actually not first, because we've already been cutting, but all right, so I've cut off. I'm gonna move this so you guys can see this better. I cut off almost 2 feet off the top. These leaves are beat up. Oh, there's a couple aphids under here. Some kind of a nest. Nasty. So these will not be going into my compost pile. But there's still flowers and little tiny fruit on here. But this thing will go inside for the winter. All right, so let's bring this back up here. And I'm going to cut back all the rest of these little branches, actually. Woo! Look at that. More flowers, more tiny fruit. I'm gonna leave it just like this because we've still got some decent weather left for the rest of the winter, or for the rest of the late summer into fall. And now we will focus on jalapeno. Let's turn this around into the light. Am I going to smack my camera? Yes. Let's try this way. Okay, so this one is got so much fruit on it, it's overloaded. So we're gonna cut off this little side branch down here first. And I've got fruit on here. I am going to make fire cider out of these. This plant actually, I see a spider, but this one looks like it's doing better. So these are the 2 jalapenos that I just took off there. I'm gonna take all the rest of them off. This is not a super hot pepper, but it is plenty hot, and it will go good in my fire cider. Nice. Now let's see. I want this to bush out next year, so I'm gonna cut this here and here. All right, so I've cut a lot more off. Don't be sad for Mr. Jalapeno. He will be fine, probably. And if not, then nothing really bad is going to happen. I'm going to move all of these. I've got quite the haul. I'm not going to eat one of these on camera. Set these off to the side. And I'm going to use my handy dandy hory to dig this out of this pot. I'm just going around the roots in a circle so I can dig this out and hopefully not make a huge mess. Okay. 3-gallon bag. Let's see. Okay. So we've got quite a bit of roots coming down from the bottom. These roots look awesome. Okay. Oh, this is perfect. All right, so this is a good size for this plant. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this back out of here, gently put in some soil after we're done here, and then put them back outside. But I just wanted to show you guys like what that looks like generally. And then I want to show you real quick this other pepper. This one is in a 5-gallon bag. This one struggled all year and has barely grown. As you can see, it has gotten attacked by bugs several times. So there's not a whole lot of leaves on it, but I am going to put this one in a smaller container just so it'll fit better inside. And it's also going to go into a 3-gallon bag. So this one I'm not even really going to prune that heavily. I'm going to prune this. All of the sad looking leaves off. And then that's probably all I'll do for this one, and this one will just get put into a smaller container. So I see there's questions. Hold on just a second. Cannot see them. That's terrifying. They'll be fine. I'm glad you showed us how much you take off the top. Yes, I want this to be compact. I want this to fit nicely into a smaller grow bag. This is 3 gallons is still plenty. Like if this plant decided it wanted to grow, it'll grow more in a 3-gallon bag. Peppers, they don't need as much space as a tomato. Pepper really, like you can get away with growing a pepper in a 3-gallon bag. I generally like to do 2 in a 7-gallon bag just because it's more economical space-wise. But I mean, if you divide the gallons by 2, it's getting 3.5 in a 7-gallon bag. And you saw how big those other 2 were in the 7-gallon bag. So, and they were transplanted from the ground into that bag, and they got huge. So like peppers are okay in a smaller space. They like to be close. They like to hold hands. That's how it's described. So peppers are cool in a small space. Peppers are cool being trimmed back very severely for the winter. And remember, the goal is not to give it optimal light so it can grow and set fruit inside. I just want to keep it alive. So in the spring, as soon as it's time to put stuff out, I can put these ones out and get a jump start on my next summer harvest. So that's the goal. Just enough light, enough soil space to stay alive, but not optimal. We're not setting fruit. We're not gonna go out and get like light to enough to make this grow. We're just setting lights on this enough to keep it alive. So, and where I live, because peppers need to be in like a zone of 11 to be perennial, I am in zone 7B. So in my greenhouse, which is not heated, it's not going to be warm enough for them to stay alive in my greenhouse. If peppers were okay with a zone 8, then I would put them in the greenhouse and call it a day, because they'll be just fine. And an unheated greenhouse, it's not going to be warm in there in the winter. It's just going to be a little bit warmer than it would be outside. And like with the zones, remember like the difference between a zone 7A and a zone 7B is only 5 degrees. So it's a difference. Like the zones dictate the average cold temperature over the previous 30 years for the area. So the average cold temperature, I think for zone 7B, off the top of my head, I want to say that it's between 5 degrees and 10 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the average cold temperature. And then in a 7A, it would be between 0 degrees and 5 degrees. So I don't know what zone 11 is off the top of my head, but it is significantly warmer than a zone 7B. So they're going to be inside. It will never be colder than probably, I'm cheap, so I like to let it get cool. So probably 60, 62 in the wintertime in my house. It'll always be warmer than that. So that's plenty. But it's not going to grow a bunch or set more fruit. It's just going to chill and stay alive. And then probably around March, I will fertilize them and start putting them, and like think about putting them outside depending on the weather. Farmer's Almanac said it's supposed to be cold and snowy this winter. So We'll wait and see what happens if we do get a February snowstorm, because that's what I like for my birthday, snow. If there are no other questions, I will let you guys go for tonight. This is one type of plant that I will be bringing in for the winter, and we're just cutting it back, and so it can chill. And I definitely will be bringing in probably a couple of tomatoes. Same deal, they will be cut back severely. The goal is not to get them to continue to fruit. I will be putting cherry tomatoes in my click and grow gardens for the winter, so I can have tomatoes over the winter. So I will not be doing that. I actually need to get those started so they will be actually bearing fruit soon. But yeah, the goal is not to keep them growing. I'm not turning my house into like a full greenhouse. I just want to keep some of them alive so I can get an early jump on next year, because the more I expand my garden, the more the projects get overwhelming, and then just keeping up with it becomes hard. So then I'm like, okay, how do I make this easier on myself? How do I make this faster? How do I streamline my workload? Because when it gets to be too much, it takes the fun out. Who wants that? So no more questions. I will let you guys go for today. Have a good night. Bye.